Rouge of the jungle, strong as he can be. Watch out for that tree.
All right, well, today we're going to look at Chapter 8.2, Perimeters of Composite Figures. So, you've already learned about two-thirds of this already. The perimeter of most of the two-dimensional polygon shapes, you know, like squares, rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, shapes like that, you've already learned how to do that. You know that all you have to do is just add up the sides and you find the perimeter. The last lesson we did was how to find the circumference, and as you learned there, the circumference is basically the perimeter of a circle, the distance around a circle. So we're going to add one more wrinkle to this, and we're going to learn how to combine everything together, and that's all we have to really do for the perimeter of composite figures. Now, what is a composite figure? Well, a composite figure is made up of triangles, squares, rectangles, semicircles, and other two-dimensional figures. Here are some examples. We have a square with a triangle, which actually creates to make a trapezoid. And we have a rectangle and a semicircle. And when we're looking at the perimeter, we're looking at the distance around on the outside. So we have the distance here, down, and around. So that green part is the perimeter. Or over here, the red part we're putting here, the red part we're putting here is the perimeter of the rectangle and semicircle. So that's what we're going to look at, is how to find that perimeter. So let's take a peek over here. This is where we're going to kind of run into the third wrinkle in how to find the perimeter of these composite shapes. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our straight edges. You know, if we look over at the parts I'm making red here, I'm going to highlight all of our very easy to use straight edges. And I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. I have 1, 2 units. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units over here, and then 2 over here. So I have 2 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 2. And if I add all of those units up, I end up getting 20. Now I also have this diagonal that goes across here, and I have this diagonal that goes across here. And you'll notice that I have a square, so I have the blue square here. My diagonal cuts it right in half. Now, when using the Pythagorean theorem, which is an 8th grade concept, which we may get into later on this year, we'll learn that if the sides of said square is 1 unit, then the diagonal going through it is approximately 1.5, and that's what we're going to use here. So we're going to look at how many diagonals we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4, 4. So I have a total of 8. I'm going to multiply that by 1.5. Okay, and again, that 1.5 is telling you that is approximately the length of that diagonal. So when I do 8 by 1.5, I get 12. Then all I have to do is add 20 plus 12, giving me about 32 units. So I want you to go ahead and try, you'll see that right here. I want you to try the next 2 problems and see how you do with it. We'll check in with you in just a moment. Okay, let's take a look at number 1 to begin with. So for number 1, I'm going to highlight our straight non-diagonal edges first. I have this one and this one, that's it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should have 7 on the other side. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 across here. So I have 7 plus 7 is 14. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at my diagonals. So I have this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. So I have 12 times that 1.5, which gets me approximately 18. So I'm going to do 14 plus 18, and that gets me about 32 units. I'm hoping that you are able to come up with something very similar to that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other example here. I'm going to highlight again the straight edges that are non-diagonals. So I have one here, one here, I have one here, and one over here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do 3 plus 5 plus 8 plus 10, giving me 26. And then I have my one diagonal going across here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 times the 1.5 gets me about 7.5. So 26 plus 7.5, and that is about 33.5 units. Oops. All right. Hopefully you were able to come up with the same perimeter for that shape as well. We're going to move on to our next 2 examples. You're doing great. For this example, you can see we have a triangle and a semicircle that have formed together. So again, we're only looking at the outside edges. So we have an edge right here and an edge right here for the triangle. So we have 8 plus 6, giving me 14. Then I have the semicircle. It goes around here, right? And to find the perimeter of a circle, that's the circumference. I'm going to try to find the perimeter of a half a circle. I'm going to do half the circumference. I'm given the diameter, so I'm going to use C is equal to pi times the diameter. But since I only need half, I'm going to multiply it by 1/2. Or if you want to use 0.5. They use a slightly different formula. I like mine better, but you can use either or, whatever makes more sense to you. I'm going to plug in my information. So for the circumference, we'll use approximately 3.14 times the diameter is 10 times 1/2, or 0.5. When I multiply that out, I get the circumference is approximately 15.7. Again, feel free to use your calculator. And so I'm going to take my 14 and add it to my 15.7. I'm going to get about 29.7 feet. So that's how I find the perimeter of that shape that's part triangle, part semicircle. All right. Now another example I have here is the track. Now I want us to look at what information is given to us. It says the running track is made up of a rectangle and 2 semicircles. Find the perimeter. And so we're looking, do we want the inside or the outside perimeter? Based on the information that's given to us, we can find the perimeter of the inside track. So we're going to look at the track that goes from here to here, and then going down from here to here, and here to here, and then around here to here. And so I know, because it tells me, that the distance of the straightaway is 100 meters, and this distance as well is 100. So I can do 100 plus 100 is 200. Now, with the semicircles, if I have two semicircles, that means I have one circle. So I can do circumference is equal to pi, and I'm given 32 as a radius, so I'm going to do pi 2r. So if I do pi 2r, I'm going to have approximately 3.14 times 2 times 32, and my circumference is approximately 20.96. I'm sorry, 200.96. So I can take my 200 plus my 200.96, and I'm going to get about 400.96 meters. And so the perimeter is about 496 perimeter or meters. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and have you guys try number 3 and number 4, and we'll check back in with you in just a moment, see how you did.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 3 first. So we again have a triangle with a semicircle, just like our example. And so we can add 24 plus 10 to get 34. That's for the straight edges here. And then we're going to look at the semicircle from here to here. And so since it's a semicircle, we're going to do circumference is approximately pi. Well, I guess it's not approximately. In this case, it's circumference is pi times diameter times 1/2. Now, it becomes approximately because we're going to go ahead and use 3.14 times the diameter, which is 26, times 1/2, or 0.5. And so the circumference is approximately 40.82. We're going to go ahead and add the 34, and we get about 74.82 centimeters. So hopefully that is the answer you came up with for the perimeter of this shape. Let's go ahead and look at our shape to the right. It says this figure is made up of a square and two semicircles. Notice it says a square. Very importantly, notice it's a square. So if we know that it is a square, then we know that if it is 8 meters here, we know it's 8 meters here. We also know that it is 8 meters here, which would be our diameter. So our diameter is 8 meters. And then we have our two semicircles. So I'm going to begin with my 8 plus 8, giving me 16. And then with my semicircles, I'm going to have 2 of them, meaning I have an entire circle. So I'm going to do circumference is equal to pi times diameter. Then I plug in my information, so I have C is approximately 3.14 times 8, which we decided is the diameter of the circle. And so my circumference is about 25.12. I'm going to add that to my 16, which we found earlier. and I find out this is about 41.12. It's a really terrible decimal, sorry. 41.12 meters. And that is all we have. We're done. Hopefully this made some sense to you, and I'll talk to you next time.
The leader of the club that's made for you and me.
M-I-C-K-U-S-M-O-U-S-E.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, you're as welcome as can be.
M-I-C-K-U-S-M-O-U-S-E.
Today is a day that is filled with surprises.